1. This is the weirdest interaction I've ever had. I heard about some basketball courts in Edinburgh, so I decided to go and see if they were popular or just as dead as in my city. And well, the day I went, most of them were, but there was one court that only had 9 players, so I decided screw it, what's the worst that could happen? I asked them if they needed someone to play, and they said yeah. So cool. I get to play a game of basketball, which I've not played a proper 5-on-5 for 4 years. Which I got to do, and played pretty well, for being so short. But that's not where this ends, so here we go. We decided to play a 40-minute game of 4 quarters. This is in the break between the 3rd and 4th quarter. And the dad ends up coming past the court. He stops and looks for a minute, until we start to walk back onto the court, and he jolts on just past the basket, with his kid's hand dragging.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! What the hell do you think you guys are doing?
What do you mean, dude? We've been here for around 40 or 50 minutes already, said Kyler, one of the guys I was playing with.
Exactly. That's enough time to get done what you needed to do.
Yeah, not exactly. It's currently in use. You just wait, said Soren, one of the others.
No, I will not wait 1 second. My son wants to play.
Dude, this is a full court. It's meant to be used for full-sided games. There are smaller courts not even a 2-minute walk from here.
Well, we want to use this one.
Okay, no bad intentions, but has your kid played much basketball?
Yeah, a couple of times.
Okay, sir, no offense, but this isn't the place for a kid to be starting out.
Are you going to say that while playing with a kid who can't be that good?
He points to me while saying it. I can't help myself but laugh.
What are you laughing at?
I'm sorry, mate, but I'm not a kid, mate. And hey, I'm not great, but I'm all right.
Well, I'm still not moving until we get to play.
Please, we're in a rhythm. Can we get on with our game? Soren had a little hint of anger in his voice, and we were all starting to be done with this guy.
Dad, let's just go to this smaller course. I just want to play,
said the kid.
See? My son wants to play and you inconsiderate pricks are just being big bullies for no reason. This is why I voted Brexit, because of people like you.
He points at Soren.
And that big yank over there.
He's from Norway. And Kyler, by this point, had enough as he picked this man up, and I'd never heard a man scream so loud in my life. His kid was tight and stiff the whole time, finally cracked and loosened up a little, laughing. This man's scream has caused a small crowd, to which the man tried to plead his case, hoping to turn them against us. It didn't work, and he ended up walking away still pleading his argument. In the end, we finished our game, and even played another. 2. I've been working in childcare for a long time, 20 years to be exact. In that time, I've been a babysitter, a nanny, a preschool teacher, and mother's helper for dozens of families. I have many certifications and great references that always tell my prospective families I know what I'm doing and should be listened to. Well, I was job hunting again, and I found a family a bit outside my area, but they were willing to pay pretty nicely. Still well below what I'm worth, but times are tough and I'm understanding. They said their daughter had been pulled from school due to health issues and needed some discipline. So I decided to put on my super nanny hat and take on the challenge. I love to turn nasty toddlers into lovely kids. It's my speciality. So I start day one with this little girl, and oh boy, I had my work cut out for me. I was given 3 objectives. Make sure she potties, her health issues were kidney related, so this was super important. Make sure she washed her hands due to her compromised immune system, and make sure she picks up her toys. Easy enough, right? Absolutely not. So I'm at her house a grand total of 1 hour, and it's time to potty. I ask her first, can you go potty? Met with a resounding, no! Okay, new approach. You need to go potty. Cue the waterworks, screaming, crying, fighting with me. You'd think I led this child to a killing floor at a slaughterhouse. Well, I'm trying to talk her through how we can do whatever she wants if she just goes potty. While I'm making progress, Dad comes downstairs from his office to console her and tell her she doesn't need to do it. Okay, fine. It's time for lunch, and she needs to wash her hands. Cue second freakout of the day. I am trying to explain to her why we need to wash our hands, and that she'll eat as soon as she's done it. We went back and forth for about 10 minutes before Mom comes out and hand feeds her so she doesn't have to touch the food. Anytime a parent comes out, the kiddo starts bossing them around and getting her way. After lunch, she becomes inconsolable. I ask her when her nap is. They tell me she sleeps from 4 to 6 p.m. and doesn't sleep until midnight and is up by 8. I'm sitting here going, a toddler needs way more sleep than that. I try to reason with them that she's not an adult and cannot make it through a whole workday without sleep. They push back. So, we have 2 more days of this, screaming, fighting, undermining by Mom and Dad. So on day 3, I have a talk with them. A come to Jesus moment. Hey, I can't change anything if y'all are walking back everything I try to do, and they hit me with, well, you should try to get her to like you first, and then she'll listen to you. And I really wanted to say, like she listens to y'all, but I bit my tongue. They told me point blank to just do what she wants until she likes me, and then start enforcing boundaries. I tried one last plea to tell them that's enforcing the behavior we're trying to correct, and it'll take longer to right the ship. Nope, do what she wants. Okay, let's go. Day 1 of malicious compliance. Dad has an important meeting and needs to not be disturbed. Toddler decides she wants Papa, so I go, let's go get him. He said you can do whatever you want today. I'll race you up the stairs. So we run up the stairs, and she bursts into his office while he's on a client call. Toddler decides she wants Mama, so we go burst into her office and drag her into the room to play. They're now both being forced to play with this little tyrant. And every time she tells me to leave, I do. They keep trying to call me in to distract her, but she keeps saying go away, and I go. It's what she wants, I gotta do it. They're getting visibly annoyed. So now this child has gotten everything she could ever want, and once again, immediately after lunch goes into thermonuclear meltdown. I say offhandedly, I bet she's tired. They fight me and try to tell me she's just upset by change. She screams for an hour and a half. Mom tries to prep her a snack because they're convinced she's hungry. I'm telling them she's tired. There's a very certain tone to an overtired cry, and 20 years of experience has got me to the point of knowing exactly what that sounds like. Dad scoops up the toddler and takes me outside to have a talking to. So, while this guy is explaining to me how to do my job, I just sit there and shake my head. He tries to tell me he knows his daughter better than me, and he'd know if she was tired. I just smile and look at him right in the face, and go, oh yeah? She's asleep on your shoulder. She must have been tired. If only there was someone who knew that. When he realized the crying had stopped and she was passed out on his shoulder, the look of most utter defeat was on his face. He tried to walk it back and tried to find ways I wasn't right. Couldn't find it. Funny. It's like I know kids or something. I spent 3 more days in my vicious, malicious compliance. The parents were haggard. I thought we were going to get somewhere. Then, when she hit that overtired time after lunch, they tried to send me to the library to get the screaming child out of the house. In the same breath as telling me to make sure I sanitize every surface she touches, they tell me they don't buckle her into her car seat because she doesn't like it. I quit on the spot. Then immediately reported them to the service I worked with. I do believe they've been fired as clients, and CPS might have gotten involved. But all I know is they had 4 workdays they had to make up at night once she fell asleep, which, remind you, was at midnight. So I feel like I got my perfect revenge. Three. This happened last year, but I still can't believe it. My partner and I were taking a cross-country flight on a budget airline during the holidays. The day before the scheduled flight, we were involved in a car accident where our car was T-boned in an intersection. My partner was physically fine, obviously a little rattled mentally, but I sustained a fractured collarbone and a torn tendon in my ankle. We were both far from home visiting family, but staying long enough to heal wasn't an option, and I decided I just wanted to make it home. We called the airline ahead of time to request a wheelchair and early boarding due to my injuries. My ankle was the size of a softball and in a bandage. I could not put weight on it. Also, had my arm in a sling due to the collarbone break. Crutches were not an option because of this. As you can imagine, flying across country like this was already a nightmare. The airline and airports were great. This was a super budget airline, so seats are automatically assigned at the gate unless you pay ahead of time to choose. Because of the situation, we had specific seats assigned towards the front of the plane, and on the aisle. I had aisle, my partner had middle. We board pretty much before everyone else and go to our assigned seats. I was in a wheelchair the whole way until we crossed the threshold to the plane. Everyone waiting at the gate or lined up to board after us could see this. The next group, called to board directly after us, were families with young children. As the families file into the plane, a woman and 2 very young children sit down in the row across from us. A man says he has a window seat in our row, so I slowly hobble up and out of the way with much help from my partner, and he takes his seat. Everyone else on the flight boards. This was a full-ass plane. The woman across from us is struggling with the young kids, and the guy in the window seat is clearly the father trying to talk to her. This is where the problem starts. We are waiting at the gate for the runway to clear when this man turns to my partner, points to the woman and kids across the aisle and says, "That's my family. Change seats so I can sit with them." Please keep in mind, I am in the aisle seat, the one he wants, with my arm in a sling, my ankle fully wrapped up and clearly swollen, leg extended into the aisle, again budget airline. These rows have no leg room. So I needed the aisle for my leg due to swelling, etc. And for mobility in case I needed to go to the restroom. I am looking and feeling like I was hit by a truck, because I literally was, 16 hours ago. My partner looks at him, utterly confused as to how this man doesn't understand the situation, and says, "No, dude, she needs that seat." Dad man looks immediately frustrated, points again at his family and says,
"No, look, that's my family. Change seats with me so we can sit together."
My partner just says no again and motions toward my obviously broken body, and tells Dad man we are assigned these seats and we are not going to change. Dude looks like he wants to argue, but my partner is a bigger guy, and while he's the nicest person ever, he can be intimidating if he wants to be. I've never seen him be aggressive towards anyone, but when he looked back to me, I could tell by the look in his eyes that he was very close to decking this guy. Dadman dials back a tad and sighs the most obnoxious, exasperated sigh I have ever heard an adult man make and rolls his eyes. He immediately flags over a flight attendant to make his case, but she reiterated that these were our seats. He tried to get her to move his whole family together elsewhere, but it was a full flight. She checked that I was okay with my seat and left. I still can't get over the entitlement of this man. Who could have paid like $20 to choose his family seats ahead of time, expecting a clearly injured person to move to accommodate him, and being pissed when we said no. Oh, and he totally drew us dirty looks and made us very clear of his displeasement the entire rest of the flight. I want to add that I feel bad for his wife who had to deal with the kiddos solo, but it was so inappropriate of him to try and force this given the situation. Or at all, no one has to give up their seat for someone else. Also, I was medicated and running on hardly any sleep, so I really was just watching this whole situation go on around me. Props to my partner, who was there to look out for me and doesn't put up with BS. Also, we healed up just fine. Time and rest and physical therapy do wonders. 4. I lived with my boyfriend, a 21-year-old male, his brother, 24, and his brother's girlfriend, 24, ever since they were evicted from my boyfriend's mother's, 55, fully able-bodied home a few years back. Before she was evicted, she made a deal with her employers to turn her big house owned by her father into a senior living facility. She stopped working as much while spending almost all her money in secret. Her employers ended up letting her go and getting them all evicted. Now there was a lawsuit involved. Her and her father stayed in hotel rooms together. Her daughter, still a minor, had to go live with her father. More context from the past. My boyfriend's mom spent so much of her then-husband's money that she ended up leaving him in a lot of debt. They divorced, and she has always continued to talk shit about him in general and as a parent to everyone, including me and her kids. She had most of the custody, so she collected a lot of child support, which was not always spent on the kids. She even tried to continue to collect child support from him for my boyfriend once he turned 18. After a bit of their mom staying with her father in a hotel room, running out of money, she begged us to let them both come stay with us rent-free. My boyfriend's brother and his girlfriend were very hesitant to allow this, because she has lied to my boyfriend's brother about money situations so much in the past. We all still agreed to give them a place to stay while she got her stuff together. Our only condition was that she had to get a job ASAP. She ended up going back and forth on if she was getting a job or not. In the end, she completely refused, so we told her they had to go. They went back to staying in hotel rooms together. Her father is old and showing signs of dementia, and she doesn't handle it the best. She ends up telling us she cannot handle taking care of him, ironically, and she ends up arranging for him to fly back to his home country to live with other family that can take care of him. She continues to be jobless, staying in hotels by herself for a while, and ends up meeting this other guy in his 30s who is also homeless. They end up staying together in hotels, splitting the cost of the rooms, food, weed, cigarettes, etc. At one point, she ends up getting a job, but ends up quitting because she didn't like it. Without having any backup plan, she continues to be jobless for the whole rest of the time with this guy, and even gets a cat and dogs, claiming she can't work because she has to take care of them. This goes on for a while, and she starts telling us how rude and verbally abusive he is, and how she cannot live there anymore or she will probably just kill herself. She begs us again if she can move in rent-free, gaslighting and guilt-tripping, of course. We have an in-person meeting with her to tell her yes, she can stay with us, but only under our conditions. She has to get a job before even moving in. She will not smoke cigarettes because we rent and it is non-smoking, and she almost caught our last house on fire smoking cigarettes in the backyard. She will be completely transparent about her money and all that, and that she will not have any pets. She starts saying she would rather just stay with him if she can't bring her dog, gaslighting us, that she will just have to go back to the emotionally abusive place. Finally, we tell her, you can bring the one small dog, and only if you potty train her to go outside instead of on our carpet. She did not have a job the day she came, claiming she will be applying like crazy to get one ASAP, so we let it slide, telling her she better have one in a month. She starts spending all of her free time decorating the house with ugly and trashy decorations no one wants up, doing little arts and crafts, sewing using our supplies, tanning, offering to do things like rearrange my whole bedroom, etc. Not really taking any time to get her shit together and apply to get a job. Yet she continues to ask for money for random things like wigs, sewing supplies, weed, vapes, etc. She even again goes back and forth, saying she will get a job and completely refusing. She even had one lined up and quit the day before she was supposed to start for literally no reason. We tell her again she can't live with us if she won't, so she finally starts to put in time, applying like crazy. She finally got a job after 2 months, but is barely being scheduled any hours at minimum wage. She isn't even close to taking home $1,000 a month, but continues asking us to buy her stuff, while she spends her money on random craft supplies and weed and vapes. She asked me if she should keep applying at other places, since they're not scheduling much at all, and I say yes, but of course my advice was not taken. The whole time she's been causing arguments in the group chat with us all over random things, like her assuming I'm mad she is laying down over a door closed a little loud. She also had lied about smoking cigarettes at the house, has barely tried to potty train her dog, says rude, racist, homophobic and transphobic things constantly, trying to boss us around in our house, lies about legal problems and how much money she has and makes, took some of our groceries without asking, broken things, and when asked, ignored us and did not apologize, acted entitled to our belongings and many other problems. Also, she continued telling us the entire time that living with us sucks, we are abusive for having any rules for her, and that she has somewhere else that's better she can stay, where she will get more help. She doesn't, or she would have been gone. She is just trying to make us feel bad for her. And it's not like we can just have a mature conversation with her when a problem arises, because in her eyes she is never wrong, completely entitled to her son's money and things and being taken care of by them, and can never admit when she is wrong. Instead, she takes it as a personal attack and just gets angry with us, shutting us down without understanding our side at all or apologizing. After the last fight she started, we told her she has a month to figure out where she is going, because she can no longer stay with us. We're so over it. 21 days left. I am using a countdown because I am that excited to have the house to ourselves again. We will see how hard she starts gaslighting and guilt-tripping us when it gets closer and she doesn't want to leave. This will not be on our shoulders anymore. Hopefully, this will be her big wake-up call, and she will finally be able to start getting her shit together and be able to provide for her still minor daughter again. 5. When I'm not working in an IT field or taking notes of how silly people can be, for science of course, I'm a soccer referee. Being a referee can be very rewarding in its own right, but you have to have the right mindset for it. Half of the verbal vomit that comes from uninformed parents would be downright laughable if it wasn't so pathetically bad. The other half of the aforementioned spew comes from coaches who will mangle the wording of the laws of the game to suit their needs, assuming they even read the thing in the first place. Ironically, this story is neither of those. Quick note for those who don't know or follow soccer. When a referee issues a yellow card, it is telling the player or coach and everyone else that they are cautioned for their actions and or behavior, and to be on their best behavior, because the next instance is a send-off. 2 yellow cards equals a red card. Straight red cards, no yellows first, are reserved for extremely bad or disgusting behavior, such as spitting, foul and or abusive language, extremely violent or excessive acts, or incidents that are not soccer plays, among other things. I had an under-14 girls match on this day. We're into the second half of the season, so the girls have played at least 8 to 10 league games, plus who knows how many tournament matches by this point. One might think that these 13-year-old girls have a handle on how to play the game. One would be very wrong. We're not 10 minutes into the match, and I've already whistled 6 fouls, 5 against one particular team. The head coach decides to go off on me, yelling across the field that I need to start calling fouls for her team. Ah, dissent, the bane of any referee. Side note. If you think about any sport, does yelling at the referee or umpire ever work in someone's favor? Has it ever worked in someone's favor? It certainly wasn't looking it in this case. I casually jog over to the coach's sideline, causing her to stew for a bit. We're barely 10 minutes in, and you've already got me over here at your sideline. This is your warning. No more from you today. You coach your kids. I'll ref the match. But nope, this isn't a discussion. This is me giving you a direction. Coach your kids and leave the refereeing to me.
Well, how are my kids supposed to know how to play?
If she doesn't know how to coach her kids, that's not my problem. I give her the universal shush sign. 1 finger to lips, and go back out to the pitch. We managed to get through the next 20 minutes with better play and less fouling. and near the end of the first half, the head coach sends out his substitute, who is obviously wearing earrings covered by tape. I sent her right back off the field. Jewelry is forbidden on the pitch. IFAB laws of the game, Law 4. As referees, we cannot force a player to remove jewelry, but we can disallow them from entering the field and participating in the match. So, player has two options. Leave the earrings in and ride the bench for the entire match, or take them out and be allowed to play. Head coach chooses option 3, passive-aggressive commentary. It would have been nice if the ref crew had told us this before the game. Oh dear. How long has she been playing? How long have you been coaching? That no jewelry rule has been in the laws forever. Not to mention, your team was checked in by the site coordinator, who I know told you and your team no jewelry. If you're going to try to lie to me, at least make it believable. This was followed by a yellow card. Coach said not a peep the rest of the match, didn't even call for subs. She had her players do so by getting the attention of my assistant referee, the linesman, or lino for those across the pond, but her team ended up winning. So she probably felt that she got one over on the ref. Never mind that I'm not the one that kicks the ball around or has to play defense. I mean, why should logic get in the way of irrational thinking? Imagine my surprise when I get back to the referee tent post-game and find my assigner waiting for me. How'd your match go? Nothing major, no red cards. White team won 2-1. Well, that's good. We had a phone in complaint about your match. A mom called claiming you were mean to her daughter and carded her, which embarrassed her. Do you remember which player that was? The only person I carded was the head coach. We both just sat there for a full minute, trying to process the fact that the helicopter mom of a grown-ass adult woman called the assigner to complain that I had carded her daughter, the head coach. Then we both started laughing so loud that the club's director of coaching came over to see what the heck was going on. We told him, in between fits of laughter, and he had a good laugh out of it as well, especially since it was his coach. That story still lives on in that club, even though the coach in question is long gone. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to The Impractical Proudness of Parents, Ipop, episode 117. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. And before you go on, please do poke the like button. And if you'd like to get the videos a little bit early, then you can support me through my Patreon, which is linked in the description. It's also on screen just now. You can also find a link to my Teespring store, where I'm selling Hellfreezer merchandise. You got t-shirts, you got long sleeve t-shirts, you got short sleeve t-shirts, there's lots of t-shirts, and there's also mugs. Possibly other things that I'm forgetting, but those things definitely. And you can also make donations during streams or videos like this one. And while this is not required, and it is never required to watch the videos, I greatly appreciate it, and it helps me pay the bills. Alright, let's see. No other business just now, I don't think. What is today's date? No. Okay, I think next show is the 27th. So let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is: what is something there isn't currently an app for, either because no one's invented it yet, or it just wouldn't be practical to have an app for it, that you wish there was an app on your phone for? Like, quite simply, I wish there was an app to get the dishes done. Technically speaking, I have an app to get my laundry done. So why isn't there an app for my dishes? Well, probably because I don't have a dishwasher with Wi-Fi. Don't have a dishwasher. I am the dishwasher. But that would be wonderful for me if I could just get it done. Or an app to do the housework. Let me know some of your ideas in a comment below. And with that, I'm gonna head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.